Hello, my name is Waylon Lewis, and every week we'll bring you a new podcast with Elephant Journal. Hey, pals, this is Waylon, and I'm honored to talk with a lady entrepreneur about one of the greatest, to me, the greatest threats in the world. It's probably one of my 2 or 3 wishes if I could make a wish for the whole world. And something toxic, it's something so normalized, it's every day. Most people don't even view it as a problem. They view it as helpful. So I'm going to be talking with Janette about sort of solutions. We're going to identify the problem and then talk about some solutions. So to me, because so many people kind of either don't care and know about the problem or don't even know about the problem, to me the solution has to be top down. But until we have more top-down solutions, until we have top-down solutions or more of them, we have to kind of bottom up, we have to inspire change. And how do we inspire change? By being ethical, by being good people ourselves. So what does being ethical, what does being a good person mean in terms of what I'm talking about, which if you hadn't guessed, is plastic, is climate change, it's toxic for our health, for animals, for the earth. There's now plastic in all rain, plastic in all farm fields, even if they're organic. A lot of organic farms actually drape their entire farm in single-use plastic. Yay! How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to talk with you. So, who are you and what do you do?
Wow, that's a big one. I'm just a regular person. That's kind of the interesting part. So Janette Spiezio. I live and work in New Jersey. I own Sustainable Haus, just pronounced regular house. We're a zero waste refill store, probably one of the biggest that doesn't have food. We are at our core, I wouldn't say that I am about being no plastic, but rather non-toxic, which includes not plastic.
Yeah.
It's just a much bigger umbrella.
Yeah.
And I'm also co-founder of Beyond Plastics New Jersey, part of the Judith Enck National Chapter.
You're amazing. I mean, I view plastic as such a sort of bummer and a threat because it's almost impossible to avoid. And I'm like literally looking at a nice little puddle here, and I can't show it to people because it's so disgusting, but there's plastic waste in it. And then the whole thing is being contained by someone put in a landscape barrier like 10 years ago. And that's plastic and it falls apart. So, the petroleum companies, because there's been a rapid shift to renewables, in part thanks to the Biden administration and countless people caring, they plan to 10x, 2x plastic use. Plastic, people don't realize it's made out of petroleum, right? So, I'm going to shut up, but I do want to say that plastic isn't just like plastic. Plastic is climate change. So to me, climate change is destroying our children's future and our present. So first, I want to say thank you for doing what you do. I can't wait to visit someday. How hard is it to run? I kind of want to focus on the entrepreneur angle a little bit because I know you work your tush off. How hard do you work? How did that dream happen? And what can we all do to support you?
Well, I do work really hard. So at about 1 o'clock in the morning, I finished my 3rd article for Elephant Journal.
Yay!
I haven't submitted it yet because I need to get the pictures and the email together. But so number 3. So I'm very, very excited.
Right. Yeah.
So if
I read your second one like 4 times.
Follow us.
Yeah.
Follow me on Elephant or Instagram. Those are my 2. Instagram is my main platform, but I'm really hoping that Elephant, that I really grow with that. And for me, every single thing I do brings us 3 more customers, 3 more touch points. And it's not about the money, which So the interesting part is we are 2 zero wasters having a conversation about what we both love and care about. And whether we say it, this way or that way, we're simpatico. So I stopped focusing so much on plastic, I think because, which by the way, I'm 100% anti-single-use plastic. I can't stand the chemicals in it, the petroleum companies, the big oil. I mean, you name it. At every level, it's bad. But I think that so many Americans rely on it for convenience. So many affluent ones believe they just sort of deserve it. People that don't have any affluence or wealth and that are just barely scraping by really don't have a lot of choices because everything inexpensive is wrapped in plastic. So it is so ubiquitous. But I find that because of the convenience factor, if I talk more about the health issues and the dangers and the toxins in our everyday products, that's really important. And so I'll give you a really quick example. A lot of people will say, oh, we should have these zero waste stores everywhere. And by the way, I looked up, I can't find any in Boulder that are like exactly what we do. I mean, you've got a couple groceries, but you don't really have, I don't think, a zero waste store like this. So if you're out there, DM me.
Yeah, we did a couple years ago. I was a big supporter of it. I bought gift certificates from it, but they struggled. I don't think they were the marketing powerhouse that you are, and marketing is so key. Getting the word out, doing your informational videos. I love what you're doing on Instagram and now Elephant More. But we do have Nude Foods, which I was on the customer board of. It's a zero waste grocery, and it sells a lot of what you need, but it has, by no means, it has the selection of what you offer.
Yeah, so I did look up, I saw Nude. I think that's very exciting. But the thing for us is, and we love everybody that's working in this space, whether you are a manufacturer, whether like me or a small maker of products, or, you know, like we make a laundry detergent, so does Meliora. We love both of them.
Nice.
Wherever you do, however you do it, wherever you do it, it's a journey, and there's so much good in it all. But from an entrepreneurial perspective, it is the hardest thing I've ever done. And I'm a hard worker to begin with. This is like a whole new level of it.
Yeah.
But
why is it so hard?
Because people want convenience.
Yeah.
And so you can talk to them about a shampoo bar and they go right to Amazon to buy it. You know, so there's that. I don't know. It's just, we're asking people to shift away from a little bit of convenience, and everybody feels, I think, like a small store is going to be more expensive. And that's like my biggest thing to debunk. Because and it can be, but it really shouldn't be. And we don't think that it is. And, you know, I can give lots of examples, but the bottom line is, it's a very hard shift for people to make. And as a result, it just takes a lot of effort. And we do a lot of the marketing and the outreach and the education, because that's what brings people in. So our Instagram account is not about selling product A, product B, product C every single day. It's about teaching people what's dangerous. And we talk about things that have nothing to do with products we sell in the store and things that have everything to do with the products we sell.
Sure.
Because we just want people to learn about what's really important. And at the end of the day, there's nobody looking out for your health, my health, the planet's health, our family's health, other than ourselves. And for background, I have 2 kids and a stepdaughter. My stepdaughter just had twins, so that's 5. And then my husband has 2 kids, so that's 7. Wow. So we have 7 people in our world that we've brought here, and we have a planet that needs saving. And so when my husband's mother asked me how long I'm going to be doing this, I said, till I'm dead. Aww. Because we have 7 kids that need a planet, and you know how hard it is, right? It's really, really hard.
Which piece is hard? Running the business or
everything? So running the business, but like, you know, when you start the journey for zero waste, it's a journey, right? We don't want anybody to worry about perfection. It's about making small and steady changes on a regular basis. And, you know, people will be like, oh, I can refill my laundry detergent, or I can refill a liquid. Oh, that's great. And they come in wearing, you know, full regalia of Lululemon.
Yeah.
All synthetic clothing, it's all plastic. So if we're worried about our health, it's not just buying organic food, eating organic food. It's using products like a laundry detergent that doesn't contain toxins, which, you know, all of our clothing is on our skin. Then we're wearing clothing that's just plastic, and people get all excited about their recycled plastic in their clothing. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's leaching even worse. That's like worse for our health. And it's, so there's so
people
many
don't realize
layers.
that wearing plastic, especially if it's like athleisure or whatever, you're going to be sweating and it's going to be unhealthy. Someone just left a respectful comment saying, love the conversation, but it's hard when you tie politics to it. What I would reply is, I would support Trump or anyone taking environmentally necessary actions, but politics does affect life. You said no one's taking care of your health at the end of the day. As a bleeding heart liberal, I do have to say there actually is the FDA. There are regulations making sure there's not lead in our paint or whatever. And that is important, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. You don't want corporations poisoning your children. So some of this stuff does matter in terms of, you know, there's a reason politics matters. We may dislike politics or partisan politics. That's fine. But you have to still be engaged and care. Janette, I love Small Giants. Have you ever read that?
No.
Is by far, I think it's really my number one and only. I've interviewed the fellow. It's on our YouTube channel. He's a great journalist, but it's about kind of mindful entrepreneurship. And it's really the only helpful book about, you said, you know, it's not about the money. You're doing education about products you sell. You're doing education about products you don't. You make some beautiful products, but you also sell competing products. All of that is what he would call mojo, or sort of ethics in a way.
Yeah.
And when your customers feel that over time, as you said, it's not about perfection, it's a journey. Over time, they will trust you, and there's a loyalty, and that turns into sales. And money does matter, but it's just not number one. You have to pay the rent, you have to pay your employees and yourself, and you want to. It's actually a beautiful thing. But anyway, Small Giants, please read it. Don't buy it on Amazon. Get it at a local bookstore or used bookstore. And you could also just watch my interviews with him on YouTube or whatever. But the book is amazing.
Okay.
And then, so you said you don't just focus on plastic. That's interesting to me. What is the overall kind of, I personally, obviously there's a lot of things other than plastic that are nasty, like vinyl. So it's not just plastic, but plastic is directly killing our present and your children's future. So what else do you focus on, or what is the approach that you find effective?
Sure. So for me, right, we're on the same page with plastic, but the focus has shifted. And I mentioned co-founder of Beyond Plastics New Jersey. So I really am very focused on plastic,
Yeah.
but as a store,
No, you're amazing.
For example, Tide, right? A lot of people like Tide. Does it clean your clothes? Sure. 82 ingredients listed on their website. Tide contains 1,4-dioxane. It's a carcinogen. New York State put in place a limit of 1 part per million, and Tide failed, right? So if we just went to a refill economy on Tide, we'd still be using a terrible product and putting chemicals, petrochemicals, right?
Yeah.
An absolute sister of plastic right into the water supply.
Yeah.
So plastic isn't enough of a focus. And when people start to have health issues, whether it's gut or cancers or autoimmune or eczema or, you know, just all kinds of stuff, they come in here. And it's really interesting because nobody ever wears their illness on their sleeve. They come in, they start looking at products, and, you know, over time you start to learn that they had some reason for coming in, and it's often a health issue. And they want to just reduce the garbage in their lives. And so that's, I think, really the core for me, is trying to be non-toxic, which is a very challenging world to live in because, boy, you need, you know, more than a chemistry degree to do that effectively. But
on a simple level, you know, if you're trying to eat, you know, Michael Pollan is another one of my favorite writers. I've interviewed him as well. You know Michael Pollan, I'm sure. He just basically is like, Don't eat anything with more than 3 ingredients. If you're in a bad grocery store, like selling a lot of crap, shop the outside of the grocery store, produce, you know, don't buy anything you've ever seen advertised. If your great-grandmother or grandmother ate it, it was probably okay. If you're cooking it, it's probably okay. There was a question about, you know, someone on a Kindle. I love this question. Can you buy books like Small Giants, which I highly recommend, even for folks who aren't entrepreneurs? Such a great read. Yeah, and Molly replied, you can get free reads on your Kindle, etc., from your local library in most states. And again, that's where politics is involved. I'm not a Democrat because I hate Republicans. I respect Republicans. I'm a Democrat because we want to support libraries. You know, literally Trump's plan will get rid of the Department of Education. That's not something anyone wants. There's not been polls on that. That's crazy. So anyway, a bipartisan future is what I love, where there's more love and unity, and we support education and save our planet. It's basic stuff. But so yeah, you can get free books on your Kindle from your local library. And you were saying you need more than a chemistry degree. You know, we're at a place that, you know, is a vegan, largely organic cafe. They still have plastic. But they give you $1 off if you eat for here, which is so cool. So it's not perfect, but basically, you know, you say, oh, what's healthy here? What's vaguely healthy? I don't like a lot of meat substitutes personally. So I'm eating real food. That was Michael Pollan's thing. He said, eat food, mostly plants, not too much. That was his 3 dictates for a healthy diet. So what have you learned, you know, about, I really want to support you and your business. This is not an ad at all. This is like, I'm so inspired by what you do. And I feel like as part of my leadership of Elephant over 22 years, I'm transparent. When we're having a hard time, we just laid an editor off last week. And none of this is because we're not doing a good job. It's because, like Amazon, Facebook bought Instagram and is crushing links. Basically, links don't work anymore. So if you can't link, it's sort of like you can't go read independent media. In your case, it would be like, if anything, they saw advertised in your shop that was great, but then they couldn't go in your front door. So what, you know, how can people help? Do you have like a monthly membership that would get people 10% off or something? What ideas have you figured out? You know, like Raven Bookstore, I don't know if you know them. They wrote a whole book about boycotting Amazon and why. There's, you know, have you kind of made it a movement, or are you trying to support local and to educate folks in a fun way as to why?
I wish I had all the answers. I don't. I can't wait to read Small Giants. I will also look at your look at what you've done to cover it. Absolutely. I think that for us, it is there's 2 things, and we really don't sell on Instagram or TikTok or anywhere. We sell on our website and in our store, and people support us that way. We grow at a very measured and slow glacial pace, but it's working. I wish it was working faster because I'm kind of a very driven person, but yeah, you know, we're catching on. And 2 things happen. The more that I do on Instagram, the more followers, the more posts, the more likes. I mean, gosh, you know this. When people comment, share, save, like a post, and the like is almost a nothing. It's all the other stuff. That really helps us, and it gets us to reach a broader audience. So reaching the broader audience on any social media platform gets us more sales, always, and more people show up in the store. And I can tell the direct link. So last night I shipped off 5 packages, and one of them was all the stuff I had just talked about for dishwashing, right? And it's because I did the post. And it's not about that one, you know, $40 sale. It's about the fact that we are getting people to make these broad life changes, and they are becoming more aware. And when they trust you on one thing, whether it's dip or laundry detergent, they start to trust you on other things, and it's this journey, right? So like, I imagine that when you started your zero waste journey, you weren't buying only used clothes. And I expect that right now you buy only used or ethically sourced, just like I do. And, you know, it's something that happens over time. And then when you go to buy a vehicle, a couch, a bed, a big thing, you start to research it and you really look at what you're choosing. So we grow by social media, number 1, and word of mouth. So the more times I'm out in the public with you, on Elephant, in my newsletter, at the farmer's market every single week, April through December for 7 years.
Yeah.
It just, more people hear about you, and then they tell 2 friends, and all of a sudden you start to see this little bit of growth. So we appreciate people however they support us, whether it's on social media. If you go to our website, sustainablehouse.com, you can find all that in Elephant as well. You can sign up for our newsletter. I write it once or twice a month. If you sign up for the newsletter, you get a 12% coupon. I know that's not Amazon Prime, but we are different, right? Why are we different? So I have a garden outside. It's organic, edible, native plants, all of that right here at the store. We have a free little library right here outside the store. We do classes. We have recycling programs. We have a compost bin in the back where we help a service, we're a location for them. I'm a maker, right? Like, you're looking at fabrics that are used, that I make, cotton, that I make into napkins for a second life. So no new materials except the cotton thread. Cotton thread is unbelievable because no one uses it. Like, it's such a, it makes these compostable at the end of their life, right?
Yeah.
So,
and why is that important? I mean, there's so many things we kind of casually know or say that, like you said, it's a journey that, I only learned, I don't know, like 5 years ago. I realized, like yesterday, Kelsey and I were we went into a really cool local outdoors store, and we were looking for some great shorts, right? Normally we'd buy used or whatever. We're on the road. And number one, there was only maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 things that were natural fibers, not all plastic. And then out of that, we found a pair of shorts we love for her. And they were natural fibers, but 3% whatever, the plastic, stuff for stretch. So why does even 3% matter? Like you said, cotton thread versus nylon thread or whatever.
So one of the number one things people can do to reduce their waste is compost.
Yeah.
Compost means something will break down in a short amount of time and nourish the soil. That is a technical definition. If things are compostable, and biodegrade is a whole nother word that we could probably do a whole show on.
Yeah, biodegrade, just real quickly, doesn't mean anything is bad. You want compostable and you want backyard compostable ideally.
Yes, exactly. And if it breaks down into all natural stuff that nourishes the soil, that's a win, right? So if I take a plastic shampoo bottle, there's nothing I can do with that. At best, it's recycled once. By the way, if we want to talk recycling, I just have to say 2 facts. 6% of plastics are recycled in the US, less than that. And number 2, all the municipal recycling in the US goes to 8 facilities. Those 8 facilities burn the plastic. They burn it. So most people think that plastic gets broken down into smaller pieces of plastic and then they make a new bottle out of it. That really doesn't happen. So that is a giant myth.
And
when
you burn plastic, needless to say, it's an incredibly toxic process. You don't want to be around that. And we're all around that. We're all in this world.
Yeah. So really it ends up in our atmosphere. It never really goes away.
Yeah.
But if you have something that comes from a natural fiber, linen, cotton, hemp, and you can put it in your backyard compost and it becomes something that nourishes the soil. I'm a super, super, really eco person. And the one thing I'm going to make this small, tiny disclaimer that will probably not resonate with most people, but you do still have to worry a little bit about the dyes. Alden Wicker did an amazing book called To Dye For, DYE. And it's the dyeing of synthetic clothing or synthetic fibers. And the answer is that I'll give you the whole main point of the book, which is a great read, by the way. All synthetic clothing dyes are toxic. All of them.
Yeah.
So when you're using natural fibers, 1, the dyes are less toxic. 2, it's all compostable. But if you put in here polyester thread, which is plastic, you can't put it in your backyard compost unless you take the thread out. And I know that I'm the only one that's going to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just not practical. Yeah. So you need to.
Before you popped on, I was, just sort of filling the space with some random musings about setting the table. But one of them is like top-down solutions ultimately have to happen because not everyone's going to be Janette, taking the thread out. that said, is the Janettes and the people who support your store and the movement that will create the support for top-down solutions.
Yeah.
That again can be bipartisan. Everyone cares about their children.
Yeah.
This is not a hippy dippy thing. Yeah, go ahead.
So Beyond Plastics National and Beyond Plastics New Jersey, and I don't know what you have in Boulder, if there's one for Colorado or anything near you, but we are a policy change, advocacy, and education group. So I do 100% agree with you that we need policy change. I was a 30-year compliance officer before doing this.
Wow.
So I really do believe in regulation. However, I'm also very much of a realist, and I have looked at a lot of issues. And like, for example, the FDA has a grass exception, generally recognized as safe. You can pretty much put any food additive through that exception, and they can put it in your food, and the FDA is sitting right there. It's getting filed with them, but they're not evaluating. So
yeah,
they don't have
well,
enough.
it's the same with the organic certification, which I support and believe in, but because certification matters.
Yes.
You can't have companies regulate what they're doing themselves, because they'll focus on profits, and they're fine with poisoning people, or some are. But there's all these lobbying groups trying to get things within the organic certification. So, that's again where I think everyone being involved, Republican, Democrat, anyone, independent, will make sure, we have to have eyes on these certifications. I actually wasn't saying more regulation, which I think is great when it's great. It's not when it's not. But I was saying top down, as in, like, if I always love watching, like, say, a Humphrey Bogart film or Cary Grant film or whatever it is, Katharine Hepburn, and nothing in the movie is plastic. So, if we can return to a place where there's, like, obviously they had other problems. They had, Jimmy Stewart running through asbestos and It's a Wonderful Life. But if you can say, wax paper still exists, and that's wax paper cups, which I grew up with, are super cheap and not nearly as bad. They're not perfect. But we need to tax or otherwise encourage, subsidize positive solutions. I love what you're doing there. Someone asked in the comments, we're getting some great comments. I want to honor some of the comments.
Sure.
What are some, like, little solutions or tips that you and me, we can maybe trade off and do like 10 total for everyday getting by, that reduce your use of plastic and or other problematic things, and also are kind of fun and doable?
Okay. Well, I have my top two.
Yeah.
I'm going to start by saying I can't stand greenwashing, which is the practice of making things seem green when they're really not. So all the laundry strips and pods all contain polyvinyl alcohol. By definition, it's plastic. So we like powder because we don't want to put plastic right into our water stream. So powder detergent. This is Meliora's brand. We really recommend this. I love everything she's doing. She's out of Chicago. We make a detergent. All of that is shippable very easily. You can even go to your grocery and find a decent powder detergent. Make sure you know that the ingredients are healthy, but powder laundry detergent, a clean powder laundry detergent, is a huge win.
And the cool, the PS on that one is you don't need any liquid.
Right.
So it's really light to ship. It's really cheaper. And, you certainly don't need a pod where it's like wrapped up in biodegradable, quote unquote, plastic. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay. Number two, I would say, what's the easy one? I would just basically, my approach is I never get to go. So if you're, in a cafe or whatever, I never use single-use to-go stuff. Even if it's fully compostable, I pretty much, which is rare, I pretty much avoid it. So I'll bring my own mug. I have a kind of tin mug, an old-fashioned like tin mug I bought from Phoebe Wall, who's a wonderful artist. And but most of the time, honestly, I'll just get for here. And if there's not a for here option, I pretty much just won't do it. And is that a sacrifice? Not really. I find it, I think once you get engaged in caring in this sort of way, it becomes kind of easy. So, you know, sometimes I'll go to there's a vegan organic place near me that is 100% to go. I just ask them, can I get it in a bowl? They have a couple bowls and mugs. They'll always say yes. They're nice. Or I'll put it on my hand. If it's a little dessert thingy, I'll just put it on my hand. It's no big deal. Like I often say, you know, we don't want to leave a toxic wake behind us everywhere we go in life, because that wake is poisoning us and our planet. Someone said, when I mentioned the old movies, they said somehow they did everything without plastic. So, you know, every prior generation, intentionally or otherwise, gave us good earth and good air. Only the last, say, 5 generations have we been destroying this planet at a rapid rate. So yeah, someone just said sitting at a local coffee shop, which I'm doing with my own cup, is amazing. Ironically, I'm actually sitting by a big trash can and the 2 bikes we rode in on, including with my fiance's child. I wanted to show you her dress because that might be my number 3, and then we'll go to you for 4. My number 3, I'm stealing from you. Her dress is all dyed with plants locally, and it's all natural fiber. So maybe avoiding toxic dyes, but also buying secondhand if you can't.
I agree with all that.
So over to you for number 4.
Okay, so I would say switch to a shampoo and conditioner bar.
Yes.
And, you know, look, this ships easily. You can pick it up at the local grocery. It lasts at least twice as long as a liquid. You can get absolutely beautiful products. It's just, this is our best-selling product in the whole store.
Wow.
And it's a brand that I love. She's out of New Jersey. It's salon quality. It's the conditioner bar. I'll just give the conditioner a real shout out. This bar lasts me 2 years.
Yep. Isn't that amazing?
Years.
And it's basically no packaging. It's a little cardboard probably and maybe a wax paper in there.
It's not even wax paper. It's just a piece of tissue paper, essentially.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then what you're doing, you're supporting hundreds, if not thousands, of other wonderful makers and brands. And is that dip already? Oh, yeah, they've been in the comments.
You know, so one thing for me is, I don't know about your journey, but for my journey, I have found that I have gravitated to new friends. And you start to become friends with the people you work with every day, whether it's the people in the store, whether it's the suppliers, other small makers, farmers market vendors, because you think alike and you nourish each other.
Have you ever thought of creating or maybe it already existed, this is sort of a distraction from our top 10, but as the little commercial break, like a Zoom recording or live recording of how to start a zero waste store to help kind of the movement? Because I'm sure you've learned I was just thinking, how do you know to order dip, or how do you do inventory? I have no idea how to do any of that stuff, but it's so inspiring.
It's really hard because and this is a really sad non-scientific fact, but the zero waste stores in this country close every single week.
Yeah.
Every single week. And it's because it's mostly young women. I am just going to say I'm almost 60 and I am proud of it. But that puts me in a slightly different category. I have this life experience and, you know, I'm able to do it in a different way. Whereas the young women who start almost all these stores, not all, but maybe 80%, don't have funding, don't have a lot of experience, and they close on a weekly basis. Like shut down and then they're gone. And it's because it seems so romantic to do this awesome thing, but the amount of work is unbelievable, number one. And number two, it takes a lot of capital. So this is going to sound very non-entrepreneurial, but I haven't meaningfully paid myself in 7 years. And it's because I want it to grow. So we have like this huge selection. We have over 2,000 items. We have a lot of food storage. We have all kinds of refillables, and then things that I sit at my sewing machine and make. And I can do that, whereas a lot of people can't. So I do talk to people and give them advice, but it's a really hard thing to start and then hope that you're going to make it, which is what everybody wants to do.
But that would be a great first lesson of I mean, someone would pay $50 for this Zoom recording classes with you. And the first one, that's similar to my first one. People always ask me how to start a magazine or a website or whatever. And my number one is I discourage them with all the reasons. And then I say at the end of that, I say, if you're still interested in going forward, then I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
But the best and kindest and truest thing is to not do it. If you're ever going to quit, don't do it.
Right.
If anything that comes up will make you quit, that's fine. Don't do it in the first place. Save yourself a lot of, hassle and cost.
Great advice.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, I would buy that course because, where my mom lives, the tear market is one of those that they went out
Great
of
shout
business.
out. I love them.
But they went out of business. I mean, it's exactly what you were talking about. They had 2 shops and they closed them. And they were amazing. Were they doing everything right? I'm sure they weren't, but they were amazing.
Oh, no. I think they were doing almost everything right. So I know the Tear Shop. We followed each other on TikTok, and they did not give out any single-use cups. You could take a used mug, but you could not get a single-use plastic cup of any sort.
Yeah.
I mean, they were amazing,
and they leave a huge hole. Like my mom loved going there. Do you ever think about expanding into food and being a grocery as well?
Yes, I do. The problem is I have a limited amount of space here.
Right.
And I thought I could fit food in, and I know that I can't. So that means I need a second location. And as you might know, second locations can be the kiss of death. But eventually, I think we just need to get to a place. So I've talked about not paying myself. I want my employees, my team, who are incredibly knowledgeable and amazing, to get a living wage and to get benefits. And we're not there yet. So I think we have to get a little bigger, and then we'll I need to be able to hire a full-time manager and just do it.
Yeah, to make you feel better or worse, I think I paid myself either from $0 to $25,000 a year for the first 9 years of Elephant. And I had unlike yourself, I was kind of one of those people you're talking about. I was young and broke and had no idea what I was doing, but I kind of was good at it. So I just kept going. And I had the advantage of growing up really poor with my mom. So I was I wasn't intimidated about being poor and counting change to buy day-old muffins and biking around. And, I just it was fun at the time. I think the advantage of youth there was I was willing to be broke and poor for a long time. But I remember that
not a lot of people are willing to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's hard, but I guess I just really wanted to be able to start a company that I believed in. I worked for other good companies and good people, but I kind of hated working for people. So it was a little bit choiceless. I was kind of I need to be my own boss and do something I believe in 100%, because if it's 95, I can't do it. All right. So back to our top 10. Number 5 is you.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to say any kind of a reusable wipe, any kind of reusable wipes at all. And to be clear, we really do advocate not spending money. So you can take an old t-shirt and cut it up. If that makes you happy and it works, go for it.
Yeah.
If you want fancier, we have it. Terry cloth wipes are my favorite. Flannel is something people love because they wrap around a paper towel roll. It doesn't matter. But when you stop spending, I don't know, $15 on paper towel every month, every week, every whatever, that money goes into plenty of other things. It's just so logical. Just stop buying single use. And when I say wipes, paper towel, napkins, tissues. If you have a bidet, it's really nice to have little, drying wipes.
Yeah.
If you're cloth diapering, there's so many different ways to do it, and you don't have to go all in. You can start small, start with one thing, start with a few, and just kind of incorporate it.
Yeah, there's a company in Boulder, a friend of mine, P Cloths for Women. You probably know them. That may be going too far for some people, but once you go on this journey, you realize a lot of things we're doing, like sticking toilet paper up our bums, isn't necessarily, beautiful and fun. So, you can do other things that are healthy versions of that. So
I love Cherie, and you introduced us. So she's awesome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
she's great. So My number 6 would be, I love that you just named something that saves folks $15 a year or whatever. Because the big part of my argument here is this is not a thing for affluent people. I was doing all of this kind of stuff because of my mom, who never made more than 12K a year. And so I would say this is an obvious one, but best way to avoid a lot of toxic stuff, formaldehyde, plastic, 99% of wood is coated in plastic, sealant. So is just go to yard sales or go to marketplace or whatever it is and buy secondhand furniture. It's so fun. Secondhand clothes, we've already mentioned. And you can get quality, like these pressed back oak antique chairs are 120 years old, typically 130 years old, and they're as good as new. They are quality. When you go to IKEA, you're paying way more. It's soaked in all kinds of toxic stuff, generally, new furniture, and it falls apart. I see it out in the alleys of Boulder, Colorado, a college town. Every semester, people throw it out. It's already broken. Just get the antique, classic, craft, well-made stuff for cheaper.
So every piece of furniture in the store, except for the main table where we have classes, every single piece of furniture, shelving, display is all secondhand.
Love it. You're walking your talk. That's the name of the show.
Yeah, you don't need to buy new. I love used furniture, and my house is very much the same way.
Yeah.
I will say I did buy a new couch in the last couple of years, but it's 100% natural cotton fibers, no wool, no synthetics, no. Uh-oh.
Is like it's really hard. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
It's really hard to source new furniture that has stuffing or that's not just wood. So with your mattress, I have a latex mattress. I have a Lisa. I have a organic cotton wrapped. Get a cover for them, extend their life. Couches, I either would say get an antique one that is like old cotton and horsehair and all that stuff, or get it in new, but those are pricey. So for most folks, an antique couch is going to be actually amazing, well built, and comfy. So that's a huge one.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Our furniture is off-gassing and gross.
Yeah.
So was that number 6? So you're number 7?
I'm gonna just say the simple thing: garden.
Oh.
Right? Like grow your own food, flowers, greens, teas, whatever it is. And even if you live in an apartment, start with a pot, a container garden, start with a kitchen garden, an herb garden. Doesn't matter where you start. Or even just plants in your house. Any kind of gardening is a win.
I love that. Start so small if you want. Grow some herbs in your windowsill. That's been an area where I've been really weak historically because I'll travel or whatever. And maybe that's my number 8. So when traveling, try to bike. It's a lot less plastic or petroleum. It's a lot less waste. It's a lot less of this kind of new car cycle, used car cycle. Cars pollute even when they're parked and off, just like stoves do inside. And if you can't bike, public transport, walking, carpooling, taking a train if that exists, and advocating for more public infrastructure. Like here in Indianapolis, one thing I love is they have built-in benches on every single bus stop. They're like built into the bus stop sign. So, advocating, vote locally, advocate for more public infrastructure, safe bike lanes. When they put up protected bike lanes, they're actually protected, they're divided. Overnight, you see children, families, everyone start using them. And when they connect up, then everyone can do it, like in Europe or elsewhere, Japan. So that would be my number 8. Do you want to do 9?
Okay. If this is an easy one, and this is like one of the most important things, and we've touched on it a little bit, but I'm just going to come out and say it. Do not store your food in plastic. Do as much food without plastic, whether it's how you buy it, how you store it, how you freeze it, how you cook it, how you eat it. get the plastic away from your food. The cutting boards, get rid of them.
Yeah.
Switch over to glass, stainless, and there's containers for both. You can use just a ceramic dish. I'm going to pull out my lunch. So here we've got some bees wrap. I'm going to eat my salad out of a dish. I brought it in a mason jar. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy. And
Yeah.
you can use an old peanut butter jar, right? Like, buy your peanut butter in a glass jar and reuse that jar, but get the plastic out of your food because it's leaching the chemicals and it's letting microplastics in. So it's for your health.
Yeah. Love that one. That's so good. I love that you said you could use a nice peanut jar or a ball jar or whatever that was already holding your pasta sauce or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. And then here's another plug for you. Like, it can be fancy and cheap, which is you go to a thrift shop and China, like gorgeous China, is often so cheap. And then you use that for parties and stuff instead of to go, which costs money. And you do that forever. And if China breaks, you know, you bought it at a thrift shop, you just get more. I have like tons of China at my house, enough for parties and stuff. And it's just, people are like, whoa, this is so fancy. And I'm like, well, kinda. It's an uplifted, beautiful experience, but it literally cost me next to nothing. And I've saved money every year I do it.
So for those that are local to New Jersey, we rent those exact dishes and ball jars for glasses. And the whole idea is it's priced very similar to what you'd spend on that plastic thing. You just don't have the convenience, but you have a whole nother level of beauty. So yeah, we do exactly that. We can do up to 300.
Okay, 10. We might have to do 12. So I would say like makeup and moisturizer and sunscreen, all this stuff is going directly into your skin. Like, I'm wearing a really good sunscreen. You know, try to make sure it's non-toxic. It's a good company that you trust. Same with toothpaste tabs. What is that in there?
This is a Do Mighty facial serum. It's just one example of a bar, clean ingredients, you know, small and easy. Another one, just for visual. This is a little lip crayon, less than 10 ingredients. Axology is amazing. All recycled packaging materials. It's just fabulous. Hyssop is a brand we have here. There's so many of them, but you do need to do a little research, and I 100% agree with you.
Well, and the way I'm a little bit lazy. So the way I don't do a little bit of research is I have some general knowledge, you know, like fragrance, not good in ingredients. I've interviewed lots of people who have done the research, but then I also find a company like yourself that I trust. And, you know, I'm going to guess that you're not carrying products that you don't believe in and you don't support. So, you know, find a company, Nude Foods or yourself, Sustainable Haus or others locally that you trust, and go there. And again, a lot of that stuff can substitute for nasty stuff, last longer, way longer, and save you money, if not just be about the same price over time. And our health is not only priceless, but it's also super expensive if we're gonna go through a health crisis because we've been ingesting or using or being around toxic stuff for years. So
and
we can't
even just skin irritations. Who wants that, right? Like,
yeah. So we have to go to 12, I think. So you're number 11.
This is a hard one because I've really been debating, but I'm gonna go for a safety razor.
Ooh, good one.
And the reason for that is, you know, there's pivoting head ones, stationary head, you know, 30, 84, but either way, the blades are 40 cents. So what do you get? You get fully recyclable, all metal components, and a way cheaper experience for the lifetime of the razor. And it's a better shave because it doesn't cause ingrown hairs because it's not those really tight layers of multi 5-blade razors. So you don't get the razor rash. It's way less expensive, and it's all like good materials.
And is it hard to do? Is it a hard switch when you're putting in your own safety razor and stuff?
So they're really easy to use to put the blades in. This is a butterfly version. It's pretty easy, but harder to use because it's stationary, so you have to get at a 30-degree angle. A pivoting head, which is more expensive, is really easy to shave with, but the blades are easy to get in. We have videos in our highlights.
Okay.
So and we are happy to talk to people on the phone. So for anybody ordering online, we're a phone call away. We actually answer the phone in the store.
Awesome.
And we're happy to talk to people, to teach them and to troubleshoot any challenges they're having. And that's why we do a lot of videos, to show people how these things work, because there is a little bit of a learning curve. Nobody taught us how to do things the way they did them 100 years ago, right? So now we're so used to all this ease and convenience that there's a few things we got to learn.
So I love that. And my number 12 would be support your local independent mindful eco shop, like yourself, like a used bookstore, like a great local cafe,
organic farm,
farmers market. If you go, usually at the end of farmers market, things are really cheap. You can find deals where you can stuff a bag, you can bring your own bag full for $15, whatever. There's sort of a myth that, which isn't wholly untrue, that farmers markets or any of this stuff has to be more expensive. Like at Nude Foods, they put up signs all over the store on individual products saying cheaper than Amazon, cheaper than Whole Foods, cheaper, Yeah. So they identify good deals throughout the store. There's a lot of deals to be had. Buying bulk, which would be my recommendation if you wanted to get into food without taking up a lot of room. Just saying you can buy bulk bags of oats or rice or whatever, just ask and we'll get it from the back, or, from the bottom shelf or whatever. And more shelves than a ladder. I always want to bring ladders back, like old general stores. You can stuff more into your existing store. You always can. But support your local. What's that?
We're getting good at that.
Yeah. I want to see ladders and a higher shelf. You can do it. So just, supporting your local, ethical, amazing, inspiring people. Janette, you're like the opposite of Amazon, and that's a beautiful thing. And going with that in number 12 to stuff in a little more, educating yourself about, the billionaires like Bezos behind Amazon. Get us in this cycle where we're poor, we've lost jobs don't pay well, there's not healthcare, so we want to spend less, so we buy on Amazon, which has, certainly will never answer the phone. And the opposite, if we go in the opposite directions, we keep the local dollars local, we support local, we find deals where we can, we buy less and more quality, we take care of our health, and overall we can do it that way with better local jobs, supporting great entrepreneurs like yourself, caring entrepreneurs like yourself. So Janette, thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up?
Wow.
We can do more and more. You're already in the club automatically of people invited back.
Thank you. I'd love to come back. I'm going to keep writing articles. We're going to try to do some that are a little bit shorter and just a little pithier.
Yeah, like specific little things, like, it could be like dental floss, or it could be facial care, any little unique angle.
Well, the one I really want to write is why anybody who's vegan really needs to stop the single-use plastic. It is completely against veganism. Veganism is about saving animals, and plastic will always harm animals, humans, mammals, fish, birds. I mean, we could go on.
I agree.
So, I mean, that's the next. That's not the next one that's going to hit your team today, but it's the one I'll probably do after that.
Yeah, a title, something like the one thing vegans have wrong, or something like that, or one thing the vegans have wrong and could get right easily. I'm always leaving that comment. I just left one on Earthling Ed the other day. He did a tour of some beautiful town in Europe eating vegan, and he didn't show any plastic. And I said, thank you. Plastic kills animals by the millions directly and by the billions indirectly through climate crisis.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Janette, you're wonderful. I'm going to, I think you sent me a little care package. Thank you. It was my 50th yesterday, and I'm going to go on your website and order something right now. And here's our number 13 tip. You never need plastic tape. So I'm going to assume that you use paper tape. It's just as strong and it's wonderful. And please go to Sustainable House and order good stuff from their website right now.
And
I'm going to go myself.
And go to Elephant Journal and do lots of reading and, you know, support what you do too, because indie publishing is not easy either. And I'm appreciative of all that you guys do as well. We need more outlets.
Only a few years ago, we were at 30 million unique readers a month. You know, if people subscribe, get our new free newsletter, you know, read, support great articles like you, share that, we will stay alive. If not, we're not long for the earth, because big tech is taking over and crushing all of our other, you know, anyone listening right now, follow Sustainable House, follow Elephant Journal. You know, we will not survive the next couple of years. We've made it 5 years longer than any of our competitors. But, you know, you got to support India if you want it to stick around.
And you got to give it likes and hearts, comments. You can comment anything. Comment that the sky is blue and you'll get a response from us. Whether it's Elephant or Sustainable House, right? We're a community of people that actually are humans that talk to each other. So thank you for doing what you do too.
Oh, thank you. Janette, you're amazing. Sustainable House, go follow them. Go buy something off their website right now. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.